because against all odds, what Scott Walker has done on reining in public union costs and addressing public worker rights is something that the president took note of and wants to take nationally, even to federal workers. The governor joins me now. I'm happy to have him. Governor, thank you.
Thank you for having me on. Good to be with you.
So what is he saying, Governor, that whatever you were able to do here on collective bargaining and all the rest, that it would be very, very beneficial for us to try out nationally? Is that the gist of it?
Well, part of this goes back to even during the campaign. Newt Gingrich obviously played a big role in the president's campaign and has been very engaged since. In fact, I saw him last weekend at the White House. Is very interested on the reforms we put in place, not only Act 10, but some of the civil service reforms that we did. Of course, federal employees don't have collective bargaining for things like wages and benefits. Those are things we did at the state and the local level. But in terms of work rules, some things are just as important. In Wisconsin, we no longer have a requirement by law to have seniority or tenure, so we can hire based on merit, we can pay based on performance. That means we can put the best and the brightest in our positions. And I think that's exactly what the American people would love to have at their federal level. They'd love to have people who are more effective, more efficient, more accountable to the American taxpayer.
You know, what's remarkable is that private worker unions are down considerably from the outfit influence they once enjoyed. It picked up a little bit under President Obama, but again, the overall percentage of union workers in private industry has continued declining. Public workers and public unions, more to the point, are a little bit stronger and a little bit more resistant to the kind of changes that you orchestrated in Wisconsin, and hence they're gearing up for a fight nationally, saying that if this guy Scott Walker is going to be in charge of doing this, we better do something. What are they so fearful of? Is it they think that you're out to kill them? What do you say to them?
Well, what we did in Wisconsin is we took the power of the big government special interests, the big government union bosses, and put them firmly into the hands of the hardworking taxpayers. They didn't like them. The last 6 years alone, we've saved close to $5 billion at the state and the local level. That's why property and income taxes are lower today and will be even lower 2 years from now than they were before we started. And yet our services, our schools, other things, I mean, we still have some of the top schools in the nation. Our ACT scores are some of the top for states that test all the students. Our graduation rates are some of the highest. We've shown, because of those reforms, that weren't just about budgetary savings, but about how we actually operate our government. Those are the sorts of things I think people want, not only in our federal government, but people like Matt Bevin, my friend in Kentucky, not only got elected 2 years ago, we helped him get a new legislative body, and just a few weeks ago they passed the right to work, giving people the freedom to choose whether they want to be in a labor union or not. In Missouri, they just passed that, and our friend, the new governor there, Eric Greitens, is in the process of making that in the law. I think you're going to see increasingly, not just in Washington, but talk in state houses all across the country, because it's pro-taxpayer, and in the end, it's really pro-worker. They get to decide. They get to be the ones. They can't be forced to be in it, and that's why historically, public employee unions, the big government union bosses have been in charge, because they made deals with the very people they're supposed to be working with, the government officials, the elected officials. Now in state after state, we've said, no, we're going to stand up for the hardworking taxpayer, and that's what they fear the most.